I study music therapy, and one of the biggest things I've learned is that music is so much more than just entertainment. You know, it affects every part of our brain. For me, who's going into a field of helping people with music, I just see PKN as like that sort of beacon.
Well, right now I work with an organization called Serving All Vessels Equally, or SAVE, and I've been mentoring these kids on Saturdays, had them come to the station a couple of times for programs, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to involve young people in our shows, invite them on tours of the station, go to their schools. A lot of schools have programs where radio stations and broadcasters and creators of music and content can come to the schools and talk about media. And that's what I do, is to teach the next generation how to communicate through music.
Funny enough, if you were listening the last time we got together, I had just come back from Jamaica, and I was telling you how on the morning we were driving to the airport, there were all these butterflies. I mean, like pounds and pounds of butterflies. I had never seen so many butterflies. I didn't know if it was a migration. I didn't know what it was. Well, guess what? In this Marley Legacy video, same thing, same thing. So maybe it's a Jamaican thing. Maybe it's all the time. I just never saw it until the other day.
The most amazing perk we ever got was we all got to go see Bob Marley and the Wailers at the Pinecrest Country Club. It was something that, it was outdoors, it was an afternoon concert. George DiStefano may have been the first person to have a reggae show on in Connecticut. He was on WPKN. I learned most of my obscure or my relatively unknown reggae from him.
George DiStefano, radical dude, man, radical dude. He was out there in the news, in local news, and pushing the envelope. People like that, you know, and that no one ever talks about George DiStefano. And then we had a news department run by Bob Gottlieb. And Bob Gottlieb won a lot of awards, AP awards for best newscast.
A flux capacitor is an imaginary time travel device from the movie Back to the Future, and it's attached to the DeLorean car, and it allows them to go back and forth through time. And when I was thinking about a music show and what kind of music show it would be, and I was thinking about going back and forth through time, the device to do that is what really caught me. My logo for the show features a lot of DeLoreans in various states of distress.
I like the fact that WPKN is so broad and representative of different musical forms, but I really like it when in a show you're demonstrating that. I'll directly play Chris Crack or Lil B, then I'll play Johnny Cash, and then I'll play, you know, PJ Harvey. So my bully pulpit is that that there is a genius in all corners of the musical expression, and that's kind of my mantra.
I'm a bit of a radio geek. I'm a radio historian. One of the things I've done in my career is writing about the history of radio. I wrote a book called New York City Radio. And so I tend to, just as I was moving to Bridgeport, I was like, okay, what kind of radio can I find here? And I was probably assuming that most of the Bridgeport radio stations were the kind of commercial stations you hear anywhere. And I was delighted to find out about WPKN. When I first visited the station and walked those funky hallways with all the thousands of records and CDs, I just fell in love with it.
People always ask us about how strong our signal is and, you know, who gets to hear WPKN. Because of the geography and the strength of the signal, we're heard in almost all of Fairfield County, which basically takes you down to the Westchester line, Greenwich and Stamford, and almost all of New Haven County. We go into Litchfield, into the Litchfield Hills, not quite up to the Berkshires, but we used to, you know, be heard up there. And because of Long Island Sound, we have a run right across the Long Island Sound to the North Fork of Long Island, which would be Suffolk County, and even into the Hamptons.
For fun, I'm an embroidery artist, so I embroider constantly. I went viral a few years ago on Instagram, and so I have a pretty big Instagram following for my embroidery, and if I could do that full time, I would. But nobody makes a living in 2020 as an embroidery artist, maybe 2 people.
WPKN does this great film series, and it's once or twice a month, and it's usually a musically related film, but doesn't have to be. A couple of times I've introduced the films, and it gives also people a chance to talk to the people that are at the station and maybe meet them for the first time in person, or the 5th time or the 20th time.
There's a lot of people in the area, they never go down to that end of the dial. We're way down to the left end of the dial, and they'll get something that they kind of like before they get to us, and they'll never get to us unless you tell them.
WPKN is perhaps the oddest station you will ever hear, and I'm warning you now, if you tune it in at 89.5, there will be times you have to turn it off.